Hello and welcome to the Manifest to Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 86, Lonely No More, How to Overcome Loneliness and Manifest More Love Instead. I have had a lot coming at me with this loneliness thing as far as other people in my life and other people on Facebook. So I thought that it would be a great idea to dive into this loneliness thing. And many of you may think like, why can this girl even speak to this? I mean, I've literally been with my husband since I was like 12 years old. The reason I can speak to this is because it doesn't matter how many people you have in your life or how many people are even in the room. You can have a feeling of loneliness and a feeling of unworthiness if you don't have that self-love inside. And I was definitely a person who didn't feel worthy, who didn't feel loved, who was very desperate in relationships. And because of that, lots of relationships ended. And so I've had experience with loneliness over the course of my life and cleared it up. And that's why I can speak to this. And this is why I want to share how I did that. And if you haven't been in a relationship for a long time, or maybe you don't have a lot of friends, I know it's challenging. It's hard. I have people in my life that experience that, and they tell me these things, and I know that what's going on has to be dealt with within. And so I'm going to give you some great tips and tools that you can use to clear up that story inside, clear up where you're at, so you can start creating something new. We are all connected. We are all connected, and it's part of our human condition to want love and to want to be loved. It's part of who we are. It is the connection of infinite energy that we are all an expression of. It is love. We are love. And because of that, we cannot separate ourselves from love, really, like actually separate ourselves from love, but our mind can convince us that we are. And because of that, because our mind can convince us that we can spend a lot of years and a lot of time believing that we are alone. And I'm going to tell you right here and right now, you are never alone. First of all, there's an army of non-physical support around you that you're not even fully aware of. There are just beings that are here to support and love you. You are a co-creator with the universe. The universe is always here to help you and support you. And I know it's not tangible and it's not physical, and that might not feel right or good when you're totally alone and you have no one to spend Thanksgiving with. But when you start to really heal inside, that's when you start cleaning up that internal story that allows people to start to come into your life and allows your life to become more fulfilling, because you have beautiful relationships and you have people loving and supporting and reflecting the love that you actually are. So let's jump into it. So I wanted to share a little bit about my background and what I grew up in and where my loneliness might have started from. And I want to share that with you so that you can start to reflect on where you think that this feeling of loneliness might have started with you, or this feeling of being unlovable or unsupported. So as I was growing up, I couldn't connect with my siblings. I had one sibling that was very abusive. Actually, they were both pretty abusive to me. And because of that, I was an overly emotional child. I don't know if I came in this way or it was because no one was listening to me and I was being harmed. So because of that, I created a story that, first of all, I was unsupported emotionally, physically, mentally. And so I started to shut down parts of myself. And then I started to look outside of myself in my friendships, in my boyfriends, to try to fill me up. And because of that, a lot of my friendships ended because I would have this desperate energy of chasing people. And I've seen it across the board with so many people. I mean, how many times have you chased someone, and when you stop chasing them, they come back? It's unbelievable. If you're chasing, people are running away. So instead of being in desperate energy all the time, it's about looking at your life experience and not needing anyone else to fill you up, not needing anyone else to help you to feel worthy or loved or supported. It's getting that internal game really straight. So for a long, long time, I did, look towards, and my whole childhood wasn't like, this emotionally, unemotional racked system. It wasn't totally like that. In fact, reflecting on this, I thought about one experience when I was in seventh grade and I had just watched the movie The Outsiders. And I don't know, I was going through a thing and I was super depressed and I was feeling very alone. And I actually carved like a razor blade. I don't even think you can see the scar anymore. It wasn't really that deep, although I did have the scar for, geez, years. I'm kind of surprised it's gone. Uh, so I carved a cross in my arms, right? Like everybody was doing it. It was cool, whatever. So my dad and I was feeling I don't want to say I was feeling suicidal, but when I think back to that time, those were probably some thoughts in my head that I thought about ending my life because I felt very alone. So I remember my dad coming upstairs and I remember my brother discovered that I had this cross on my arm. And he ratted me out. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm telling on you, you're going to be in so much trouble." And here I have like shame and guilt for doing something, hurting myself because I was in a state, right, of wanting to hurt myself. I think that's why kids cut. I've had a couple of my kids who are cutters, and it's because they want to feel something, because they want to feel like they have some control over their lives. They want to feel some sort of sensation that allows them to get out of this feeling of depression. So it promotes relief. If you ever look up cutting, which I've done some research on it, it promotes relief in people to, I don't know, release some pain, I guess. Feeling pain releases pain. I don't know what the idea is, but I do remember as that 12-year-old just going through so much confusion and so much unhappiness that it seemed like the right thing to do. So I remember my dad laying in bed with me and consoling me, and asking me what was wrong. I mean, like, this is the only time I really remember anything like this. So it was really special. It's great that I remember it. And really supporting me and loving me through it and helping me to feel better, which was awesome. There was communication, there was love, there was support, there was "I'm here for you." And that was amazing and awesome. And one of the few times that I truly felt loved in my life. And my mom never said anything. I don't remember her ever saying anything to me. And maybe it's because she didn't know how to deal with it. I think anytime I don't connect with people, it's because I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say. So, whatever, you do what you got to do, and you're doing your best. I'm sure she was doing her best. So getting back to the feelings that I had as that child, I just felt really super lonely. And then when I met my husband, I met him when I was 12, and then we started dating when I was 14. And I just remember feeling so desperate. And when he met me, he felt the same way. Like, we couldn't get enough of each other. And, I'm sure it was like what people would say unhealthy and codependent and all of that. And we spent every waking hour on the phone and every waking hour we could together. And it was real serious, real fast. And we were really young. And I remember my parents being super concerned about that. I remember them saying, like, yelling at me and saying, "I wish you guys met 5 years later." And I was like, why? Like, why would you want me to miss out on love right now? Like, I have love. Why would you not want me to feel that? And now I kind of get it, as I watch my girls in their relationships, kind of get it, but I kind of don't. Like, I love seeing my girls in love, and I love to see, these great men come into their lives, and I support that, but that's probably because I didn't have that. So being in relationship with my husband at such a young age, and then kind of just him starting to grow up and him starting to want to just be with his friends, and then me just clawing and feeling more and more and more desperate. And this is what you have to understand about desperation. The more desperate you are, the more people will push you away, because people don't like that energy. They don't like that clingy energy. It's like when somebody's trying to sell you something, it's like, ew, I don't want to be sold to. So you have to pay attention to, like, how you're feeling. If you're feeling super desperate, if you're feeling like you have to chase, all of those things are going to repel. They're going to just push people away from you. So what ended up happening is we broke up for a certain amount of time in my junior year. And I actually moved schools. So I grew up in a town, same school until I was a junior in high school. And then my parents moved one town over and made me move. So it was actually a really great move. I had a ton of resistance around it. I was really mad at them. And it was a great move because my new school, no one knew me. I was, the new girl, the popular girl. All the boys wanted to date me, which ended up being a train wreck because I was still really in love with my husband. And I started to let go because I started to get my own life. I mean, even when we were broken up, I was desperate. I was like, trying to get in touch with him. And if I saw him, I would hug him and kiss him, and just had a really hard time letting go. And I remember him writing me a letter and saying, if we're meant to be, we'll be, but right now, no. And that's when I decided, okay, I need to move forward. And that's when I started dating other people. And it didn't last long. It was like 4 months later, he realized no one was ever going to love him like me. And now it's interesting because our relationship is very equal. We're both very comfortable in our skin. And I'm going to share with you how we kind of got to this point. And we're both okay being alone. We love to be together, but we're both okay with doing our own thing. And it's much healthier, I think. But it took me time to really heal and to really go within and journal and meditate and ask myself some questions. And I'm going to share those questions with you. A lot of the loneliness that we feel is from the trauma and the wounds that made us believe that we are less than worthy and that we're less than worthy of love and support. And some of these are playground wounds, from childhood friendships. Some of these are boyfriend, girlfriend breakup wounds. Some of these are parental wounds, genetics, generational, like we didn't get the love from our parents, or we didn't get the love from our grandparents, or, we didn't have that loving and supportive family. And I was very blessed to have amazing grandparents and like cousins. And, we really did have a beautiful family, and my family did the best they could. They definitely loved me. I didn't have a doubt that they loved me. There was a disconnect in the emotional field for sure. Because of this, we come to relationships looking to fill this hole inside of us, this hole that can never be filled up by anyone else except for ourselves. So when it doesn't work out, when relationships don't work out, we end up amplifying all of the crappy things that the shitty committee brings to us. So every relationship, every friendship we have ongoing after that is a reflection of those wounds, of that false belief system that says, I am not enough. People don't like me. I'm not accepted. I'm weird, whatever your belief is, you've got to take a look at that belief in order to create something else. Those deep seated, wounded beliefs are creating. Whether you do positive affirmations, whether you try to convince yourself, whether you say you love yourself, none of that matters if you have these deep-seated wounds that continue to be triggered by relationships and feelings of desperation, lack, and fear. Let me just make sure I didn't skip anything. Okay. So early on in our marriage, I struggled a lot. And, I was a very young mom. I became a mom at 19. I became a mom the second time at I think I was 21 I was 21 when I had my second. They were actually 16 months apart. And, being in this energy of not really knowing who you are, you're super young, you're now a wife, you're now a mother, and you have to take care of people. You got to take care of everybody. And there's no room for self-love or reflection or meditation. I didn't even know about meditation back then. So you just kind of come to relationships in your marriage very much lackful and looking to your partner to fill you up. So I don't know if you can relate to this, but if you can relate to this, I used to write him letters all the time. And those letters always came from lack. They always came from, I never really considered how he felt. It was always about how I felt. And it always came from him not being enough for me. And he would never be enough for me. He could never be enough for me because I didn't have it within myself to know that love of who I am. So I was constantly in that lack. I loved my children from a place of lack. I overloved them. I overgave to them. And I ended up in some very resentful places. I did the same thing with my biological family, where I gave and I gave and I gave, and then became so resentful that I couldn't continue their relationships anymore. And I don't want anybody to ever end up there. That's not a great place to end up. Is it part of my expansion and growth? Absolutely. Is it part of yours? Possibly. But letting it go and recognizing that it wasn't this tragedy, that severed my life. This is the thing with past experiences, you guys. Like, if you are holding on to these past experiences, you are creating from them. If you're thinking my whole life was shit, like I never felt love, I never got love, if you're constantly just feeding this dragon of loneliness, you will never manifest what you're looking to manifest because you're too steeped in the old energy fields, the ones that vibrate the loneliness and the unworthiness and the unlovability. So it's about working through those things, because what we're feeling is always going to be reflected back to us. So what do we do about it, right? What do we do about it? I had so many friendships end, because I didn't know myself. I couldn't communicate. I had a life that was focused on my family, so it was never enough for my friends. I had some really good friendships that lasted a long time because they had families as well, and that worked really well. I did get myself in trouble with someone who I loved dearly, and she thought that I was having an affair with her husband, which I was not. However, looking back over what happened, her husband and I were very close. My husband was very close too with him, and they ended up getting divorced and he did end up cheating on her. So there were issues there. I'm not saying I was blameless because I definitely was looking for love, right? I was looking for attention. I was looking for anybody that would fill me up. I would never cheat on my husband. And that was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh my God, how could you believe this about me? Like we went to church together and it was really unfounded. But looking back, I could see how my feelings of unlovability created a lot of issues in my life, a lot of drama, a lot of friendships ending. So for you, look at your situations and start asking yourself, first of all, have I let go of the past? Have I let go of all of these broken relationships? Have I let go of all these disappointments? Because people are going to disappoint you. There's no freaking doubt about it. Like, I think we all would do ourselves a great service if we just learned how to navigate disappointment, and if we taught our children how to navigate disappointment, because that's part of our expansion and growth, right? It's the challenge, it's the contrast, it's what actually promotes more joy in your life when you know the opposite. I was telling my daughter today as I was getting gas, she was saying she hasn't filled up her tank in a long time, right? Get it, right? I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that right now. And I said, oh yeah, I fill up my tank, but I still have gratitude for when I couldn't. And because I still have that gratitude, the times that I couldn't fill up my gas tank, now I feel really blessed that I can, and I have a greater capacity. It's not just I'm taking this gas tank for granted. And that's the importance of the contrast. That's the importance of all the wounds and the traumas and the broken relationships that you have experienced up until now. Now you can navigate differently. Now you can come to the world fresh. So have you let the past go? Or do you have a bunch of momentum around the past and you don't know how to let it go? I'm going to share some journaling exercises. I actually have a new book coming out really soon that's going to help you with some journaling, writing prompts that's going to help you to shift from these old belief systems into new belief systems. That's what you have to do. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So it's time to turn away from it. The hard part is the momentum. The challenging part. I shouldn't say hard. It's not hard. It's just, it takes focus. It takes work, which equals focus. And it's interrupting the emotional fields that you have been addicted to. So those emotions of drama, those emotions of victimhood, those things that, feed that stress in your body that you may have created a dependency on. I realized people are super addicted to drama because it helps them to feel something. It helps them to feel like they matter. And because of that, they set themselves up in a life experience that continually gives them something to be dramatic about. So, that's a level one way of living, when you're not super aware of that and you're still in victimhood. And it's okay, but it's time to start waking up from that shit because it's not going to help you to be a powerful creator. It's actually going to keep you in cycles that you say you no longer want to live. All right. So how do we change this? This is your recipe for success. All right. So meditation, of course, number one. It wasn't until I started meditating that I really started to feel who I was, and you can't explain it. You can't really explain how you get there or how it happens. You just have to sit. You got to commit to sit. If this is November 2022, we are currently in an M21 challenge on Facebook. Just look for M21 Revolution. You can actually join anytime. It's a free group, donation-based challenge, and we will help you learn how to meditate. There's tons of information in this group. And we just launched a challenge and we ask for a donation. So there's a beautiful exchange of energy and you receive value. So if you haven't donated and you want to donate, there's links in that group to do that and to be part of our 21-day challenge. You can start it at any time. There's hundreds of challenges in there. Meditation is number one. I also have a free teaching that I will send you if you email me at livelifegolden@gmail. I will totally send it to you. I used to sell it. I mean, I do sell it. It's for sale on my website, but I'm so committed to teaching people meditation because it's so life altering that I just really want to share that gift. Journaling. Okay, so the questions that we want to start asking in journaling is about discovering who you really are. So it's asking those deeper questions of, first of all, when did my loneliness start? What are the wounds that contributed to this loneliness? What does my loneliness want me to know right now? Right here, right now, where am I to expand and grow from this loneliness? How can I start connecting with myself and creating a relationship with myself? That's what meditation is all about. So it's about getting back to what you love. It's almost like getting back to what you loved as a child. Creativity, coloring. That's even a great way to spend your time. Just doing something that allows you to be by yourself, but in the element of divine expression. So you're not alone. Like when I'm creating programs, when I'm writing my book, I'm not alone. I can feel this stuff coming through me. When I do my posts on Facebook, I can feel all this stuff coming through me. So I don't feel alone. I feel excited. I feel passionate. I feel driven. So activating that creativity is super important to getting back to what you loved as a child, who you really are, that expression of your gifts and talents. So creativity is a great way to get back to that. A great way to get into realizing your gifts and talents is to start asking yourself some freaking questions. What do I love to do? What do I find myself being able to talk endlessly about? What drives me? What makes me excited? And if you don't feel those emotions right now, if you don't feel that energy right now, you've got to start asking these questions to start activating it and maybe trying new things to find out. What do I love? What's good for me? I recently just got back to yoga. I haven't done yoga in a really long time. And the new gym that we just joined has a whole bunch of different yoga classes. And man, did I forget how much I love yoga. And did I forget how much yoga just unlocks my whole body. It unblocks energy. It allows me to be more in my body, to be more present, to be more mindful. So yoga is a great way to do it. And if you can't join a gym, Yoga with Adriene is amazing on YouTube. Love that one. I did her home practice for a long time. So, but joining a yoga practice like with a group of people is also community based. It's wonderful. If you can join a gym, I'm telling you, get yourself out of the freaking house. Do something. And I know, it costs money. I get that. But what people don't quantify is what they're going to get from it. So it's like, oh, I can't afford the gym. First of all, can you afford not to go to the gym when you think about your health? And then being put on medications because you haven't taken care of yourself? Have you considered your flexibility, losing your flexibility and what that's going to cost you? Have you considered the fact that going to the gym and all of the serotonin and dopamine and all of the wonderful chemicals that are going to be released are actually going to put you in more of an abundant mindset that's going to allow you to attract wonderful relationships and money and all the things you're asking for? Maybe you're going to meet somebody at the gym that's going to change your life. Who knows? Just get out there, move your body, and be with people in any way, shape, or form that you can. It is absolutely one of the coolest things you can do. Asking for what you need versus being a martyr. This is something that I definitely had going on for a long time, where I would be super stressed, doing everything myself, not asking anybody to do anything, not believing that anybody would ever help me, right? That feeling of unsupport. Not a great way to live, not a fun way to live. And you're not fun to be around when you're like that, when you're being a martyr. And it's like, if it's to be, it's up to me and nobody's around to help me. Not a fun way to live. So finding your gifts and your talents, abilities, no longer feeling lost on your journey and worthless is a huge step in your expansion and growth. And it's something that I definitely struggled with for a long time. Being a stay-at-home mom for, geez, like 30 years, having a college degree, actually an associate's degree and paralegal. My parents had this grand plan that I was going to become an attorney, and I became pregnant instead. Having that degree, never doing anything with it, and never feeling like I ever achieved anything, because our society doesn't really look at being a mother and raising a family as something really worthy and valuable. Hello, the American family. It's, it got lost. It got lost in feminism. It got lost in women going into the workforce. The whole thing kind of fell apart. So the women that decided to stay home and felt like it was really important to connect with their children started to feel like, I'm just a mom. I used to say that all the time. I'm just a mom. And it's the hardest job on the freaking planet. And it's one of the most valuable jobs as far as I'm concerned. And I have beautiful, incredible relationships with my kids because of it. Not to say that you can't if you didn't, but it's what we chose to do. And we became abundant, regardless of the single income. But we are blessed to be entrepreneurs and to be creative and have ideas and always try stuff and always look to create that money flow. All right, so you got to dive deep. You got to dive deep. You got to find out what's going on within me. Like, what are those wounds that are contributing to this feeling of loneliness? And then once you discover what the wounds are, you have to ask to release them. So you have to do the work of just releasing them from your body, whether you're just breathing them out or you're going to an energy healer or you're doing yoga. You've got to release those wounds and then become really aware of the thoughts that are attached to them or the emotions that are attached to them. Once you do that, then it's responding differently. So it's like if somebody blows you off or disappoints you, you don't go into this rabbit hole. You don't go into this wound and suffer and cry and become severely depressed. Instead, you go, hey, that's about them. We are not a match. We're not a vibrational match. And I need to keep going, moving forward so I can find the people that are. It's as easy as that. I have a friend right now who is in the dating game, and we've done some work over the last few years together, and just clarifying her desires and what she wants, and cleaning up that story about herself that wasn't super great. But there are still beliefs there, like there's no one out there, and I don't like anybody, and nobody's connecting with me, and it's like, think about the beaming light signal you're putting out when you're saying those things and when you're feeling those things and when you're believing those things. How can anyone find you if you don't believe they're out there? They can't. So you have to change that. I have heard so many women here in Orange County say there's no good men in Orange County. And it makes me crazy because it's like, well, what if a guy moved here from Kentucky yesterday and you're ready to bump into him? You can't bump into him because you don't believe he exists. So you have to let go of those belief systems that are blocking the energy field around you to actually attract the love that you're looking for. Um, okay, so I want to jump into, yeah, I was gonna, so let me just talk a little bit about the healing game that I've been through. So it's letting go of the victimhood and the addiction to the emotions. I've healed so much. Like, I've healed so much of this, and I want to help other people heal this because it's a huge part of loving life again. It really is. I love to be alone. I really do. I don't mind it at all. It's something that I actually look forward to. My nature walks, my meditation, my writing, just even going to the store. Sometimes, like, just going to Hobby Lobby and walking around by myself. I love it. I love it. I don't feel like I'm lacking a friend. I don't feel, it's like I can do whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. I'm on my own schedule, not having to answer, to anybody. It's a wonderful thing. So it's because I've worked on, I am married. There's no doubt. I've been with my husband for a long time. He definitely, we definitely are best friends, and that helps not to feel lonely. But there were times when I did, there were times that I did feel lonely in my marriage. And you may feel lonely in your marriage and you may feel disconnected in your marriage. And the reason why our marriage works so well and the reason why my husband is the way he is and I am the way I am is because of the work. Like we've done so much work. We've healed so much trauma. I was telling my girls yesterday, uh, there was a lot of anger going on, and my husband he doesn't want to do that anymore. And he has healed so much of the anger that he's felt, the fights that we used to get into, the crazy. We're so much better at communicating now that we don't need to get to those levels. And he has done the work. Like he is an amazingly patient man. Sometimes I'm like floored by his patience. And I love that I can trust him with my girls. I can trust him to say the right things. I can trust him not to create more wounds for them. So he didn't grow up that way. His mom was very angry. She yelled a lot. She was very emotionally abusive. And because of that, he's had a lot of wounds to heal. And a lot of us have grown up in households that were not fantastic, where we had a lot of emotional abuse and we had a lot of yelling and people that didn't know how to control themselves and didn't know how to even deal with the emotional field. I mean, I remember getting so angry that my face was just like bright red and pulsing with blood and just screaming and crying and hurting my voice. I remember that because from the age of like 12 to like 26, I just found out that frontal lobe is not quite developed yet. So keep this in mind with your children and your adult children. Their frontal lobe may not be quite developed yet. So that is in charge of your emotional field, managing your emotions and being able to take a step back and control your responses. So, pay attention to that because we have to help people navigate their own emotional field. And if we don't exchange the energy and get super angry with them, we can be that beacon of light. We can show that there's other ways to communicate other than just being angry and saying things that are hurtful. So we've done the work. And that's why I feel like I can speak to this, because the loneliness that I used to feel, that feeling of nothing ever being enough, no love ever being enough, no compliment ever being enough, just feeling that lack, that all came from within, from those deep-seated wounds that I looked at, that I, released from, that I energy healed with. I mean, I did tons of energy healing for years and years and years. I did energy healing like every 2 weeks. That's the work that you have to do in order to really heal these things. We can't just ignore them. We can't just push them down. We can't just push them away. We can't compartmentalize if we're being triggered. It's not working if you're being triggered. So going deep within, looking at those things, now my marriage is different. It's different. We're both whole. We come to the table whole. We come to the table full of love. We come to our families unconditionally loving each one of our children, accepting them for who they are. That's huge if you can do that as a parent. Accept your child for who they are and not look at them and say there's something wrong with them, but instead just say this is part of their expansion and growth. And where is my stuff in this? Do you know how much healing work I've done from having 4 daughters? Oh, massive. So that's what I feel like we're called for in our family experiences. All right, so let's dive into looking for a mate. I know there's lots of you out there, you single peeps, and we got to get you all together. Like I know that's what the dating sites are all about. I don't know about dating sites, to be honest with you. The thing that I like about dating sites is basically they get you out there, they get you activating energy, they get you in the field of possibility, of potential, of excitement. If you're drained about it, if it sucks, if you're going to it dreading it, if you're saying there's no guys on there, get off of it. Maybe try a different one because it's not working for you. You're not bringing the right energy there. That's what I would say about that. So you got to visualize, you got to feel it. So, when I was 10 years old, I had a dream and I dreamt about my perfect mate. At 10 years old, all I wanted as a kid was to be married and have kids. That's all I wanted. Like I saw my mom's life and I was like, that's what I want. So I used to dream and visualize and feel my man's, boys, whatever. I was 10 years old, arms around me. And I would visualize that often. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but I had a very active imagination. So I would just feel hugs, I would feel love, and I just visualized and I felt into it. And then when I met him when I was 12, there was a feeling there that I can't to this day describe. It was like, it it was butterflies, I couldn't speak, it was fireworks. I mean, it was everything. And then when we started dating a few years later, it was just that feeling of home. It was that feeling of knowing that I was home. And we really believed that we were going to get married before we even started dating. So I'm sure there was some kind of I know there was some kind of soul contract between us. And if you haven't found that with somebody, please don't give up. Geez Louise. If you want it, if it's a desire in your heart, you have the potential to manifest it. We just got to shift some stuff. We got to shift some beliefs. We got to heal that inner wound. We got to help you to come into some love of yourself, of recognizing how beautiful and special and important you are, how worthy you are of the love, because you are the love. You are the love. I mean, if you walked around every day and thought to yourself and said to yourself, and this was your whole self-talk was, I am love. If that was your self-talk, I am love. I am love. Oh my goodness. I am sure that you would just feel love at every turn. I am love. I am supported. I am love. I am supported. And as much as I say affirmations don't really work if you don't feel them, we're changing the subconscious. So we want to interrupt the thoughts that are fueling the beliefs. So if you interrupt the thoughts enough and feed it with something different, you're going to start coming to realizations, and you're going to start coming to some expansion and some growth within your own experience, because you're feeding yourself a different energy field. You're feeding yourself, and then the universe is going to start showing you evidence of it. You have, knowing that you're worth it, that this significant other that you're looking for, that you are completely viable for it, that you are, completely attainable, that it's completely attainable. Some of y'all are giving up. Some of y'all got so much doubt, you're starting to give up. And actually giving up might be okay. When we give up, we start to allow. When we stop having desperate energy, we start allowing. Have you made a list? What are you doing about it? So I love creating a list, getting really clear about what you want in the perfect mate. And then what are you doing about it? Like, are you just sitting home and being miserable and lackful and eating ice cream? Like, are you being by yourself all the time? You have to do something to activate the energy. Do you feel worthy of it? If you don't feel worthy of it, you got to go within, meditate, journal, and start feeling worthy of the love that you are. You will tap into love when you go inside. When you start focusing on your heart, when you start getting into higher consciousness. And this is why, because of the law of hold on, let me look up the exact way to say it. The law of divine oneness. Law of divine oneness says we are all one. We are all an expression of energy that is all connected. And because of that, we are never alone. We are never alone, because we have the ability, because we're part of higher consciousness, because we are part of the energy of all that is. We are never alone. We're part of the stream. So when we stop believing that we're alone, we're going to get evidence of that stream. We're going to get evidence of that connection and that love. So, do you get desperate and clingy when you're in relationships? Nobody likes desperate and clingy. Think about that. Do you get desperate? Do you get a little distrustful? Oh my goodness. Do you distrust? Do you get in relationships and automatically feel like something's going to happen from your past in this current relationship? Yeah, that's going to attract the same shit over and over again. So don't do that. The distrust thing, that is something you got to go deep within and heal, because trusting in your journey is a massive part of this. Trusting that the perfect mate is coming for you because you desire it. Trusting that if something does happen in your relationship, it's part of your expansion and growth, and it's a wound that you need to heal. Trusting that it's all part of the journey, and that taking your chance on love is the best way to expand and grow. A lot of people won't, they won't do things because they don't want to deal with the heartache, like getting a pet. Oh, I don't want to deal with the death of a pet. That breaks open your heart. You're cheating yourself of love. You're cheating yourself of so many things. It's just like saying, I can't afford a gym. You're cheating yourself of so much richness and fulfillment and, healthy, fit lifestyle. So it's about looking at what can I gain instead of what can I lose? What can I gain by taking this risk, by getting out of my comfort zone, by going on this date that is making me feel all shaky inside? What can I gain instead of what can I lose? Start asking yourself that. Um, is there room in your life for someone? Do you have any room? I know people that do a lot of traveling. They're working all the time and they think they're going to manifest a relationship. And it's like, where are you making room for this? Well, when I find the one, I'm going to slow down. And it's like, well, I don't know, dude. Like, what kind of message are you sending to the universe when you're not allowing room for someone to be in it? What message are you sending to the universe with your actions? I had a guy once who I coached, and he was sleeping around. Yeah, sleeping around a lot. One night stands, lots of women, and he wanted a significant relationship. And I said, you're not sending the universe that message. You're sending the universe the exact opposite. What girl is going to be goo goo gaga over you if you're doing that? It's like, oh, well, I'm going to wait until I find the one. It's like, that one's not going to line up with that. So you have to think about the person that you want to be with. You have to think about who that is. And if you're that person right now, if you want to be with a happy, successful, lighthearted, super amazing partner, you got to be that, because that's vibrational alignment, baby. Like, that's it. You got to become that which you seek. You got to become that which you seek. And when you do that, that's when the stars align, and that's when you find the one. Are you staying home all the time? Creating from wounds and expecting bad things to happen? Is it right in front of you? I had a friend once who was looking all over the place for a guy. And there was this one guy in her life, and she kept saying, no, 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 it's not him. He's not my typical. And whatever, he's not the one, not the one. Finally, she realized he was the one, and they are so stinking happy. They are amazingly happy. And he wasn't her typical guy that she would normally be attracted to. And she's having the time of her life. So is it right in front of you? That's a really good question. Do you give up too easy? I see this a lot. I see this especially with people whose hearts have been broken, they're a little bit wounded, and one little thing happens and they're like, I'm done. They don't give it a chance. They don't communicate it out. They don't work on the situation. I mean, and I was telling my girls this the other day because, they hold their men to some very high expectations. And, they're holding 20-year-old boys to an expectation of what their dad is. And I said, your dad was not always like this. You're looking at a man who has worked 37 years with me, like just getting it all worked out. So, are you holding them to these expectations that are kind of impossible, these standards? And I'm not saying you should settle, but I do think we have a society that gives up very easily. If you look at our divorce rate, there are chapters that end. Absolutely. People are better off being divorced. But I think sometimes if people had worked a little harder, their relationships could be beautiful, deep, and rich like ours is. So pay attention to that. Are you giving up super easy? Are you checking people off the list because of a few little things? Watch the energy field, because if you continually end up being disappointed and dissatisfied, that's a message. But if it's just one little thing here and there that you can work out, communicate, and allow them to change and to raise up, allow your both of you to come to new understandings, you're going to create something really, really special. Is your heart shut down? Is your heart shut down? You got to ask yourself that. Has it been a long time? Do you not even know how to open your heart? Do some yoga poses and open that heart. Do some work on that heart chakra, do some meditations on the heart chakra. I'm sure there's some in YouTube. Just do some work on opening up to the love that you are. Maybe I'll do one. I don't know. I just feel like maybe I should. Do you want what you can't have? Yeah. Had lots of guys tell me that they love me, and I'm like, dude, you can't. I mean, that's not even bragging. It's just ridiculous. It's like I've had people sit at my kitchen table in my family home and tell me that they're madly in love with me. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you want me to do with that? It's happened more than once, and it's very uncomfortable, and it's really ridiculous. It's like, if you see my husband and I, it's not happening. Like, yeah, let's not do this. Like, it's okay to look at me and say, okay, you have all the qualities of the woman that I want, but it's not you. You got to go manifest that somewhere else. It's great to have clarity, but it's not going to be me. It's not going to be me. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be me. All right. So, are you sad, lonely, miserable? Who wants to hang out with that? Are you sad, lonely, and miserable? Because nobody's going to want to hang out with that. Are you overweight? Are you not taking care of yourself? Are you dressing in sweatpants? Have you let yourself go? You got to prepare for this. You got to get ready to be ready. And I'm not saying that everything's about looks. It's about loving yourself. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about saying, yes, I matter. And because I matter, you're going to treat me like I matter. That's what it is. It's knowing that you matter so people treat you like you matter. That's what it is. It's all a reflection, baby. Are you feeling ugly? Are you feeling unworthy of love? I mean, all of those things are vibrating and sending out a signal to the universe. If you're feeling like you don't belong, if you've never belonged, you're dragging that past with you, how the heck are you going to create a relationship with someone? So you got to become that which you seek. So deep-seated journaling, that's what you need to do, is go in, meditate. Where does this come from? Writing a list of positive aspects of yourself. What's so great about me? We just helped our friend do a dating profile. It was so fun. And all the great things that we know about her and see about her. And I could tell that it really helps her to feel better. It's like, wow, this is how people see me. This is not how I see myself, but this is how people see me. And maybe I need to start seeing myself this way. Hang out with people that lift you up, that help you to see your good qualities, not the ones who put you down. What does this loneliness want me to know? That's a great question. That's a great question for anything you have going on in your life. What does this want me to know? What does this situation, what does this experience want me to know? Super duper important questions. Reminding yourself of your gifts, getting yourself out there. Let's get out there. Let's meet people, meetup groups, the gym, dating sites. Let's just activate some energy, right? Yoga classes. All those things are going to help you. They're really going to help you and contribute. Meditation, journaling, discovering who you really are, realizing your gifts and talents. All of those things are going to help you to become more. In order to find love, you must be love. If you are more love, if you are more loving, if you love yourself and you love others, love will be your life. I promise you, I am evidence of it, absolutely evidence of it. Visualize, for just a few minutes. It doesn't have to be really much longer than a few minutes. Visualize and feeling what that relationship feels like, leaning more towards feeling good and excited about what's coming rather than lack, misery, and disappointment. Lean more towards the excitement. Lean more towards the, I don't even know what's going to happen today. Lean more towards, I don't even know who I'm going to meet today. Find satisfaction in your own company. Find it. It's there. Creativity, exercise, trying new things. If you're a mom or a dad, I did tons of play dates. Play dates and play groups were like my life for so long. And they were my life force for a long time, just connecting with moms and resonating. We're taking this social media stuff and we're making it our connection. And it's a false sense of connection. There is connection. Absolutely. I've met amazing people on social media. but it does not, it pales in comparison to the person to person communication. We're supposed to get like 8 hugs a day. It's good for our immune system. It's good for our love. It's good for connection. It's good to feel whole. 8 hugs a day. That's a lot. I'm in a family with, 3 people around me all the time. 8 hugs a day. I'm failing. I got to get better at that. We all do. Making plans with people versus expecting them to or waiting for them to, inviting people out, not worrying about them canceling on you. And if they do, I'm telling you right now, like people are people. What the hell? It doesn't have anything to do with you, but make the plans, get yourself out there, have some fun, and stop relying on other people to, to think about you, because they're busy and we're all busy. And so if you want to do something with somebody, go for it. Yeah, stop thinking everything is about you and taking things personally. Become more lighthearted. Become more of the person you are looking to attract. Yes. Do you want a lighthearted person? You got to be a lighthearted person. You want a joyful person? You got to be more joyful. You want an abundant person? You got to stop saying you're broke. You got to stop saying you're broke. You got to start feeling more abundance. You got to start noticing abundance around you. You got to bask, you got to revel, you got to appreciate the life you have and all you have. If you want love, you got to give love. If you want respect, you got to give respect. If you want to have trust, you got to give trust. It's all a reflection of what you have going on inside. And I will repeat again the law of divine oneness, that we are all connected, that we are all love, that we are all here for relationships. I truly believe that we are all here, that that relationships have a mechanism within them to help us expand and grow. They help us to move along on this journey and not to stagnate. Relationships reflect the work we need to do. Relationships bring us healing. They bring us wholeness. They bring us the feeling of unconditional love that we are. Relationships are important. And if you have alienated yourself, closed yourself out, maybe you're older, maybe you feel like, there's nothing left for you. You just got to stop thinking that way. You got to stop believing that, and you got to start putting yourself out there, because those relationships are going to come and they're going to surprise and delight you when you do. It's just no longer believing that you're alone, and for all your moms out there who are empty nesters, and I probably shouldn't even speak to this because I still have 2 at home, but I think I very easily could feel empty nested at any point, because for the longest time I didn't know who I was, and I didn't have a life outside of my children. So when I started to create my business and I started to find my passion and I started teaching universal law and meditation and mindfulness, started creating groups and connection and connecting other people and helping people to heal, that's when I really started to feel like, oh, I got a life. I got a life beyond my children. I have a life beyond my husband. I have a life beyond my family. I have a life that is me, that is who I am. And that is super duper important for all of you moms out there, especially, and dads, especially the stay-at-home ones, because it's really challenging to find that purpose solely in taking care of a family. And you can do it. I'm not going to say you can't do it. I struggled with it. You can totally do it if you can really bask and revel in the fact that you are doing an incredible service to our community by loving and inspiring and, bringing up these beautiful souls. If you can do that, do it. If not, find something that calls to you. Do something on the side. There's plenty of time when they're asleep. There better be. You better be putting those kids to bed early, or getting up early before them, or getting a babysitter every once in a while, so that you can do something different, so that you can do something that calls to you besides just giving. That's how you give back to yourself. That's how you love yourself. They say self-care. It's like, oh yeah, what do? You take a bath and you go get your nails done, and maybe you get a facial, maybe you get a massage. I mean, to me, massage is like, it's like getting the oil changed on my car. Like it's maintenance, baby. It's not, that doesn't even have anything to do with self-care. That's just about taking care of my body so that I keep it working correctly. when it comes to self-care, it's about doing the things that feed your soul. Think about self-care that way. What is going to feed my soul? What is going to make me feel fulfilled, that I am pursuing those things that call my passions, that allow me to become passionate? I heard a story on Facebook the other day. It was pretty cool. So it was about an energy healer. And she was saying how she loved doing her coaching business, and she was giving her coaching business up because she no longer felt like it was really feeding her. And she always had to supplement her income doing energy healing. Because, it's calling people to energy healing is it's a lot. A lot of people are very resistant to go within and figure out what's going on and do this kind of work. So she said she started a little pet sitting business, and she just decided to do that because she loves dogs. And the pet sitting business like blew up. Like it went crazy. It went gangbusters. And now she's super abundant and she doesn't have to work in a restaurant anymore, and she can let go of coaching. Like that's so freaking cool. And it's so a testimony to asking yourself, what do I love? And allowing that energy to become something. So super cool. So we just have to change some belief systems. We got to shift some energy in the field. We got to activate some energy in the field. Everything that you want, everything that you desire is completely and absolutely possible. It's not only possible, it's already in the works for you. You just got to get your energy aligned with it. You got to feel better. You got to get in love. You got to get in appreciation. You got to get in joy. You got to get in compassion. If you're working on a relationship right now, if you're in a marriage and you're not feeling super good about it, you got to get good with yourself first. You got to heal those wounds within yourself first. And then you got to start communicating what is necessary to move this relationship into a deeper, richer level. It's all up to you. It doesn't, they say it takes two. It does. It absolutely does. But if you don't heal these wounds inside, that person cannot reflect this stuff to you. You will just continually feel less than. So let's up level. Let's go to the next level. Let's get out there. Let's get in love. Let's create love. I'm just so in love with life. Yeah, let's love our lives because it's precious, because life is precious. And when you spend time being mindful and present and aware of all that you have, you'll have more because you're in the energy field of appreciation and really basking in the fact of deep satisfaction that you get to live this life, you get to work through this journey, you get to grow, you get to expand, you get to create, and you get to become more. And that is so thrilling to me. So that's all for the show today. I love, love, love you guys. I am excited for all that is to come. I've got a lot of things coming, a lot of projects in the hopper, a lot of cool co-creative stuff that I'm up to, which I'm super excited to share with you guys soon. And I love y'all. Peace.